Hi, this is Marlo Belmano, the producer of Latter-day Left.
This week on Latter-day Left, Alain and Cris Belmano come back together to discuss the Utah Legislature, conversion therapy, anti-vaccination activists, CPAC, guns in school, and more.
Don't forget, if you want to contact us, email us at latterdayleft@gmail.com. Now on to the show.
Hi, welcome to another edition of Latter-day Left. I'm Chris.
I'm Alan.
And we're back. I'm back. So we didn't record last week. You and Aniki recorded 2 weeks ago, and I was out of town. And we didn't record last week because I got back like late Saturday night, and Aniki couldn't do it. And
I don't remember
I
what
wasn't
happened to
in
me.
any. I was in no condition to record Sunday. So, but we're back.
So we are.
We're here. Let's talk about stuff.
We've been talking for the last. So I
You and I have been talking like an hour and a half.
I just want to tell people that for the last hour and a half we've been talking,
And we didn't hit record.
we did not hit record, and so now
Probably a good thing we didn't hit record.
now I've got nothing to say. I'm done.
There were words said that were going to have to be cut.
I've all talked out, but now I'm all talked out.
There was rants, whole entire rants
Yeah,
that
that's
probably
true.
shouldn't be aired.
No, that I don't know.
Some that could, but let's start with I don't know what we want to start
I don't know.
with.
There's lots of stuff to talk about.
There's a lot of.
Talked about great big picture stuff, and then we'll work its way down.
Let's start little and get big.
Oh, okay, well, fine, whatever.
Close to home, narrowly focused. The Utah Legislature.
That is not narrowly focused. That is
Well.
one big drama. That one big mess.
Specifically, the anti-conversion therapy bill.
Yes.
So
A bill crafted between a lot of different community people, including the LDS Church, including the LGBT community, Equality Utah.
number of LGBT
Lots of people
support groups. Yeah.
Lots of people in there. They work out this bill to ban conversion therapy. It's abusive. It's all it is. It's physically, emotionally, mentally. It's abusive on every possible level, including spiritually. And so even the church is saying, yes, run this bill, outlaw conversion therapy.
Yeah. Except there's some representatives from Utah County,
Of course.
who are losing their minds and want this changed because how dare you say we can't try to convince someone that they're not gay or convert someone from being gay to not gay. Or
Right. The whole point is that...
the one guy from American Fork, his whole Pleasant Grove maybe?
Yes.
That area. Post Point of the Mountain, but pre-Orem.
Pre-Orem
area.
Yeah, Pleasant
area.
Grove.
Yeah, Pleasant Grove, American Fork, whatever. He wants the language to be changed to only ban electroshock therapy.
It is 2019, and there are people using electroshock therapy.
No, that's the funny thing. They're not anymore.
I hope not.
It's not banned, but people don't use it because it's physically abusive. It doesn't work. It's been debunked. But he wants the ban to only mention physical abuse and things that
So emotional abuse is okay.
things that would physically harm a person. He says we should ban, but anything mental should be fair game.
Mental, emotional, spiritual. Let's just throw that into the mix.
Yeah.
What a bunch of nonsense. There's a reason why even the LDS Church has joined in with this bill. If they start changing the bill, the church basically has said, we're out. We have a bill.
Well, they're not gonna.
Equality Utah
support
and the
it.
LDS Church, we've got a bill together. It works. You change it, we're out.
Yeah, the guy who was sponsoring the bill and working both sides of the aisle, trying to get everyone on the same page, came out yesterday. He said, if they change so much as a semicolon, it will break this up and people will just bail from it.
Right. And look, this is going to get me to rant about something.
Oh boy.
Okay, so
I've added things to the list,
I
by
see.
the way, as we've been talking.
So you hear these people on the left. Yes, I'm talking to you, Democrats, and
Well, you think we have Republicans that listen to this?
I have no idea.
I highly doubt it.
I highly doubt it. Okay. I don't even know if anybody listens anymore, but anyway, so we have these people on the left and they'll say, oh, why is the LDS Church involved in all this? This is ridiculous. You know what? They represent 60% of the voters in Utah. Okay. And so they get to speak for the people that they represent, just like every other lobbyist gets to speak for the people they represent.
Well,
so get off of
This bill has the LDS Church. You mentioned Equality Utah.
I did.
The
medical profession is on board. The psychological,
the psychiatric,
everybody's on board.
boards. You've got
This is a good bill. This should be passed. 27 states have passed it.
ACLU's on board with this. Yeah,
You know,
everybody's giving it their blessing.
The only people who are not on board are the lunatics in Utah County. And I just, it's just ridiculous how we're.
Yeah, so this thing actually could end up blowing up. And so 34 other states have passed this bill. And the language has been taken from these other states. Some of the Republicans are saying, it's a free speech issue. You're limiting the speech that a therapist can say to their patients.
That's nonsense. That's nonsense. You know what? This is not a free speech
they're
issue.
They're worried about, the gag rule.
Yeah. This
in reverse is what it is.
So you can't tell people about contraception or about abortions. Those people think that, that's okay, but that,
it's okay to limit that doctor's speech to their patient,
but not the other one.
But not this other
what
way.
What a bunch of lunatics.
We're back to the hypocrisy area.
Well,
where
it's worse than that, okay? Let me tell you what it is. There's a principle in law, and I think I want to go back to look at some of those things. It's called the Nuremberg Principle, and it flows out of the Nuremberg trials at the end of World War II, when the Nazis had been doing medical experiments on people, okay? The Nuremberg Principle that comes out of, there was one trial that tried these doctors, okay? There are lots of trials in the Nuremberg. There was the big Nuremberg trial, but then there were a lot of trials. One for lawyers, one for doctors, one for industrialists, one for bankers, and so forth. And the one that came out of the medical profession came up with a code that you can't do these experiments on people, okay? Conversion theory fundamentally violates the Nuremberg Principle on medical care. It simply does, which means that it's an international crime, okay? I mean, seriously. And I understand there's no authority out there that enforces that. But if you're going to be a person of any kind of ethical concerns, you ought to place that first. And to defend any portion of conversion theory is in fact a violation of the Nuremberg medical principles. That's where I go with it.
So the Utah Legislature again is making news for this.
Lots of news.
National news. So we're staying closer to home. We're going to move on.
Okay.
We're going to stay close to home. You and I are BYU sports fans.
We are.
The last 4 years, Cosmo has made national news.
Yeah, with dancing
with
and
his
all kinds
dancing
of
and
stuff.
his routines and the
His
stuff he's
routines,
done
very
with the
good.
different
Yes,
dance
very
teams.
good.
And
Yes.
he's ESPN has put him on, and he was named like mascot of the year.
Mascot of the year or something.
Yeah, it was
a really cool guy. He's come out.
Did you read the article? So he came out as gay, as homosexual. Did you read his article?
I haven't read the article.
I read the article. It was in the Deseret News, and I normally don't, but I was really intrigued. I want to read this. He said, I wore 2 masks. I wore the Cosmo, and I couldn't tell anyone I'm Cosmo, because that's the deal.
That's the deal.
Nobody can
That's
know
correct.
that you're Cosmo.
Yes, exactly.
The rule is nobody can know that you
who
are Cosmo.
Until he reveals himself
Until he
like
reveals
at the end of the year or
At
something.
the end of his senior year or something.
Yeah.
And there's always a couple backups, but there's a main
yes.
Cosmo.
Correct. And
there's one guy who just goes around and poses for picture and high fives fans.
Right. And
the
they
guy who
do-
does the dancing and the routines
Yes,
and
yes.
the big stuff.
So they do
There's one guy.
Yes, but they do have a couple of subs for certain things. But yeah, it's
But
exactly.
there's one main guy, and
There's
you
one main
can't
guy.
tell anybody
Correct.
that you're Cosmo.
Exactly.
And it's a big deal when you take off the head. And
Everybody, it's
that's
him.
you. Okay.
And like one time it was a woman.
Yeah.
Early on, and it was like really
So
interesting.
he said he wore 2 masks.
Yeah,
He couldn't
yeah.
tell anyone he was Cosmo.
I did hear some of
And
that.
for the, he came back from his mission, and he wasn't, he kind of thought before his mission, he went on his mission, he came back, he goes, no, I really am. And he had to hide it from everybody. And it was actually a really good article about having to wear 2 masks at BYU. And,
Sure.
But kind of a big deal that,
Yeah. Exactly.
Now, you never read the comments, right?
No, you don't.
Especially the Deseret News with something like this. Some of the comments were, because I'm crazy, I read the comments.
Yeah. Sometimes
Some of the comments were supportive. Some of the comments, I think people were just trying to be tongue-in-cheek or funny. Hey, I've seen this guy dance. It was obvious to me, right? I mean, how could you not know?
Right.
Okay, you're trying to be funny, but you're being a little stereotypical and a little, dismissive. But they were trying to be funny. I kind of brushed it off. They weren't trying to be mean-spirited. some people were complete jerks, as
Of
you would
course, they
expect.
did the usual crazy people.
I'll never buy BYU tickets again.
Okay, sorry.
Wait,
Thanks. Thanks for your support.
Because Cosmo was gay. You're never going to buy football tickets again? Really? That's okay.
Yeah, that's
you know what?
true.
Good, because it lets the rest of us get better seats.
Exactly.
But it was kind of a big deal.
Yeah, no, I think it was, and I think it was perfectly fine. It's perfectly. I thought when you mentioned BYU that you were going to go. That we haven't even.
Oh, I'm going there next.
Oh, are you? Because I was okay. Maybe I'll let you.
I'm going there next.
I'll see. I'll see where you go because I may
Okay.
have something that you don't know. But go.
Well,
ahead.
maybe. But so the other thing was a couple. We know some people in the Democratic community who are gay, and they don't listen to this because they're not LDS. One guy used to be that we know, and a couple we know used to be
Active members.
they used and so he put on Facebook, Cosmo is gay, and one of his friends replied back, well, they're more of a fashion magazine or whatever.
No,
More of a lifestyle magazine. I guess they're not really gay so much as
Cosmo isn't that the magazine with
Cosmopolitan magazine.
It's like some
not even fashion, but it's-
scantily clad women.
No, not enough.
I don't know
Anymore.
Well,
No,
I
not
wouldn't know.
anymore. I mean, they have risque type articles, the top 5 foods to get you in the mood or something. But
Well, I should read that. No,
it's. But yeah, so it went from there were all kinds of reactions, but it was kind of a big deal.
Yeah,
It
no, I
was-
think that's right. Yeah, absolutely.
So
absolutely.
Anyway, okay. So the other thing that I think were hinting at, I have here on the list. The other thing that happened at BYU this past week, was it this week? Last week? We didn't record. This week?
Something happened this week.
Their police force was
yes.
decertified.
Yes.
I have that here. BYU police force.
How
See
did you
right
do
there.
that? I didn't tell you.
I told you. I added some stuff as we were
I
talking,
see.
after we started
All right,
talking.
yes.
Because other things you were saying was
So I have a
triggering my memory.
I have a radical proposition here.
Look, let me just say this real quick
all right,
before you're
you go
radical.
ahead.
The BYU police force was nothing more than the brown shirt Gestapo, and I'm not sorry to see them taking one in the teeth, okay? I can't stand those guys.
Oh my
Every
gosh.
time I'm on campus, they
Yeah,
are
yeah.
the worst
Okay,
ever.
I
and I have no feelings of sorrow for them at all.
all right. So
There's no sympathy here. There's no love lost.
So let me take a different tack because I absolutely agree with you. Look, when I was a student at BYU from January 1997 through April
97.
77,
So you're off by a long way.
77 through April of 83, in May of 83. I graduated law school April of 83. There was a BYU police force. It was a private force. It was not certified by the state.
Right.
It was not a Class A police force. It was basically a private security force. They were exactly what you said they were. Sort of brown shirts and that sort of thing. Sort of enforcing the, more enforcing the honor code.
Right.
Rather than, and
actual laws.
and parking, but and then if there were I don't remember there were big crimes on campus when I was there, but if there was something, the local police would go on. Frankly, I think this is where they ought to go back. So this is my radical notion because BYU has appealed the decertification. No, I think BYU should say, you know what? We're a private campus. Our security is going to be private security force. You don't like it, pound sand. And by the way, we close our roads. And if you want to, because they do every year to protect the privacy, the ownership of and if you want to come in, police officers, public police officers, you either have to have a warrant or there has to be exigent circumstances, just like anywhere else. We're private property. I want BYU to have the guts to say that. They're not going to do it. They're going to go whining. Look.
Their assertion now is that they're a private police force.
No. They want it both ways right now.
Right, and that's what I'm going to say. They do want it both ways.
So here's the thing now.
They want to claim private police force and that they're certified actual police officers.
They are certified or have been certified because it's not effective for a couple of months because they get an appeal process. But yeah, the letter of decertification was issued. They've appealed it, but at the same time, they say, well, the honor code and we get to do what we want to do. You can't have it both ways.
Right.
Now, do I think that the police should be mingling around with the honor code? No. Should they be mingling around with Title IX? No. But here's the thing. I think BYU should have the guts to say, you know what? You don't want us certified? We're not certified. We're closing the gates. You can come in when you have a warrant or in exigent circumstances, and then we'll do what we want to do with our private force.
They could close campus.
That is
instead of an open campus.
They do, which is what, frankly, I think they ought to do. So if there's anybody who listens to us who is still an active or has some connections, that's what I think BYU ought to do. Instead, they're like, oh no, we're going to appeal this because we want to be certified. No, you don't want to be certified, because if you do want to be certified, then you have to be subject to GRAMA. That's the public.
Right. And that's what started this whole mess.
That's the public access to information. Okay. Just like FOIA in the federal system. Right. Freedom of Information Act in the federal system. In the state law, it's called GRAMA, which is Government Records Access Management Act. And BYU's trying to say, well, we're a private organization. You can't GRAMA our police documents. That's because they're using the police force to enforce Title IX and or honor code stuff. Look, you can't have it both ways. So I think what I would like to see, which will never happen, is BYU to say, fine, we're going to go one way or the other. And frankly, when I read the nonsense in the papers, I said, you know what? They ought to just say, fine, thank you. We're decertified. We'll do our own thing. This is a private campus. You want to come on? You better have either exigent circumstances or a warrant. And it would take about a nanosecond if they said that for the state police people to say, well, let's come to the table and talk. Okay. So once again, BYU or the LDS Church, an arm of the LDS Church, is not doing what they could do to stand up for themselves.
Well,
and by the way,
they do want it both ways. They want to be able to say, well, we're actual police officers with the full power of a police force, and our people are actual officers, but we're private and we don't have to adhere to government rules and regulations.
And so on that, I perfectly agree with the state.
Because that's how this whole thing started.
They can't have it both ways.
Was the whole records.
Yes, the whole record access, exactly.
Being given over and
so
stuff.
I do agree with that piece of it.
Yeah.
But my reaction to it would be, fine, we'll be private.
I kind of agree that they should go one way or the other. You can't have it both ways. My whole thing is, I agree they can't have it both ways.
Exactly.
I agree with ridiculous.
And I agree with that too.
To claim,
So the other thing that I'm tired of is the Tribune, which gave more column inches to that story this week than I think to every other stories combined. The Salt Lake Tribune is nothing more at this point than a muckraker, anti-Mormon, anti-BYU thing. It's ludicrous.
Look, they are, but do you think it's because they feel like they have to compete with the Deseret News?
No, I don't even understand that, because the Deseret News didn't,
By the way, they're owned by the same people.
Yeah, they're owned by the same people. but no, because even the Tribune's, if you think of the Tribune's core readership, liberal people, probably not Latter-day Saints for the most part, although I think a fair bit of their readership is members of the church. And even those people are like, oh, we're tired of you. There's letters to the editors all the time. Quit writing articles about the Mormons. I buy this paper because I don't want to read, about, and so even the other half of the readership is tired of it. And yet somehow, the editorial people at the Tribune think that, oh yeah, we'll just keep running these articles because I don't know why. I really do think they have this hell-bent thing, about, can I say hell? I don't even know if I can.
I don't know.
H-E double toothpick.
It might get cut. It might get, who knows?
But
we'll find out on Wednesday with everybody else.
Exactly. It just, so yeah, I agree. BYU can't have it both ways. And frankly, they might as well stand up and be independent and have,
here's the only problem with that. They're going to be even worse. The BYU campus police would be even worse.
They were. Look, so now I get to tell you a story. You won't know this because you were, how old were you when I was in law school? 3, 4? I don't know, something like that. 7?
I was 8
6.
when we moved.
Yes, 6 or okay. Fine. So
I was 8 when we moved.
Yeah. So you were 6 or 7. A friend a couple of friends and I, we were bored in law school one day. So we started the Young Socialists on campus.
Yes.
So, they have a Young Republicans on campus, have a Young Democrats. We started the Young Socialist on campus. We, put out some flyers, organizational meeting in the Step Down Lounge. The Step Down Lounge, for those of you who know BYU campus, used to be across the hall from the movie theater. So when you go to the movie theater now, there's a computer lab across the hall. There used to be a Step Down Lounge, kind of hangout for students. And it was 3:00 on a Friday afternoon, organizational meeting, Young Socialist on campus. The cops showed up and broke it up. And they closed the gate. If you were in, you were in. If you were out, you were out. And ultimately kind of weeded people. And the three of us that had started this Young Socialist Club were told, naughty, mustn't do. We hadn't violated any rules yet, but they didn't want an on-campus club of Young Socialists. Here's what I remember. The cops were all armed, but they weren't carrying openly, but you could see the bulges.
Sure.
Yes.
They would be worse, okay?
Well,
without some other kind of rule system to keep them in check, they're gonna run amok is what it's gonna happen.
They ran amok before, okay? Look, they weren't certified. The BYU Police Department was not certified by the state until 1984, the year after we left. Okay? And so they've only been certified since 1984. Frankly, I don't care which way they go. But probably shouldn't have it both ways.
Yeah. All right. Let's stay kind of state legislature-ish.
That was a little trip down memory lane there.
But we're going to go outside the state of Utah now.
Oh, okay.
Let's go to the great state of, I don't know, where do you want to go? Arizona, Texas?
Let's do Arizona.
Well, it's in an Arizona-Texas both
okay. All right, okay.
issue. But it's also a broader issue, I guess.
I think it's a broader issue.
It's a broader issue. We're talking about anti-vaccine, the anti-vax movement, which somehow seems to be picking up steam.
Just like the flat earth people. I mean, this is...
Wouldn't it be great if they were the same people and we could just weed them out easy?
This is Wackoville.
So you got a guy in Arizona, a state legislator.
Yes.
You got one in Texas. The one in Texas says, I'm not worried about measles because that's what we have antibiotics for.
Yeah, which don't work.
Okay, clearly you don't understand science or medicine.
Yeah.
Why you get to comment on it.
By the way, the antibiotics are not working anymore.
Well, now you have to use stronger and stronger
stuff,
But yeah, this guy said, "Oh, I'm not worried about measles. We have antibiotics," which made my head hurt. And then you get the guy in Arizona saying, "The way things are going, if the Democrats are in charge, they're going to force everybody. They're going to take away people's personal freedoms and force everyone to get vaccinated against their will."
Right, and his point is
he's trying to fearmonger. They're going to take away your literally, the one, I guess the one in Arizona is a woman.
Right.
But she's trying to scare people into thinking, well, if you vote for a Democrat, they're going to literally take control of your bodies.
So her argument is that to sacrifice one's freedom in exchange for
not having measles anymore.
She
actually said, why are we exchanging our personal freedoms in exchange for measles?
Okay, this is the ideologue who heard something about Ben Franklin saying, well, we've given you a republic if you can keep it, and now wants to apply that to everything.
I don't think she's heard or read anything that is real.
It's ridiculous. The idea that as a group of human beings, we can inoculate ourselves from diseases so that our children do not suffer and die is enlightening. And these people are claiming, well, no, we have the right to not vaccinate our people. Do they understand?
No.
The polio,
They don't understand. You can just stop there.
Yeah.
You had a radical idea for the BYU police. Can I have a radical idea?
Sure.
Can we let the people who know medicine be in charge of medicine?
Whoa.
Can we get the people who know science to be in charge of science? And we're talking like climate change and that kind of thing.
Whoa.
Can we get the people who understand technology to be in charge of technology and not have a real estate developer be trying to decide medical, policy for an entire state? I don't know if she's a real estate agent. I'm just saying we have real estate developers who are trying to make medical decisions for states and for the country.
Because abortion is an evil in and of itself. But That's one of the bills being run at the legislature to roll back.
Well, they always want to
roll back. No, they're doing
17
it this
weeks.
Year. 18 weeks.
18
weeks.
Yeah, and the quote on that one was, the NFL season is 17 weeks. Why do we think that the waiting period, that you need longer than that to decide if you're going to have an abortion? He used the NFL season length.
He really did. That's ridiculous.
That's why I knew what the length was.
There you go.
Because he used the NFL season to compare.
Unbelievable.
So you've got these people who are, and it's one thing if, okay, you're going to be, I keep saying real estate developer because that's what we have a lot of.
We have a lot of the
here in Utah. If you want to be a lawyer or a real estate developer or a businessman or whatever, and you want to run for office and you want to be in charge or be involved in running these bills, but maybe you listen to the subject matter experts. I work at Adobe, and what we have things, and anyone can be one, is an SME. You can be the subject matter expert for your thing. And maybe you're not the one running that project, but you're the one that people go to and say, hey, give me advice, let me learn from you, and so I can make the right decisions.
Right. Which, by the way, is the way it ought to be done.
Right. Why don't we have elected officials who listen to the subject matter experts? The people who know what they're talking about.
Because they know better. Because they've been elected to know better.
No, they haven't been elected to know better.
Because they think that having been elected has invested them with more knowledge, more wisdom, and
it seems to be
more understanding.
The other way, okay? As soon as they're elected, they lose understanding and investment.
It's very true. Yeah.
So you got, why don't we let the medical community speak? Oh, wait, they've spoken.
They have spoken.
They've said that all of this is crud.
Yeah, you have to inoculate people. Polio, measles, mumps, rubella,
typhoid.
These are things that we can avoid as human beings by doing this. Why don't you want to do it? Because you think somehow that by working as a group,
that's socialism.
Yes, it is. Exactly. You somehow are losing some sort of personal agency or
How dare the government tell me that I have to get a shot or give my kids shots?
No, we voted on it. And as a group, we said, yeah, this is a good idea. Government do this.
But I didn't vote for it. Or I was against it. So therefore, it shouldn't apply to me.
No, because you're a human being.
You're
a human being on this planet at this time. And you can't decide for the other. And here's a selfishness angle here. Here's a selfishness angle. Oh, I don't want my children to be vaccinated. I want to raise vaccinated free children, right? It's the same thing as free range chicken, but it's vaccinated free children. That's what I want to be able to raise. It's my right. No, because these bugs, these viruses, these diseases still exist in the environment. It's just that they can't put us down because we've built immunities with our bodies to them. But now you got your child who's not immune, who contracts the disease. And first of all, you're going to go find all the other children who are not vaccinated. And then you guys are actually morphing the diseases.
Yeah. And there are people who are legitimately unable to get certain vaccinations. There are legitimate health problems, allergies, and people who can't. But
that's a very small
right. But those are the people, and because you hear people say, "Oh, well, the herd immunity." The herd immunity only works if only the people who literally can't have the immunization
then don't
get it.
Everybody
and
else
the rest
has
of us do,
and that actually protects those who legitimately can't.
Right. And so if you're counting on herd immunity when you don't have a problem with the immunizations other than in theory,
it's not going to work.
Then it lessens that herd immunity.
Exactly.
It only increases your chances now of getting that.
Yeah, I think it is simply.
So now you get people
abysmal.
In Arizona and Texas and other places, but those are the two that made the news this week.
Okay, in Sandy we had a water problem, as you know, and it was caused by a broken fluoride pipe. And now the biggest topic on social media in Sandy, within my state social media and within the Sandy City social media, is why are we getting this poison fluoride in our water? It's a communist plot to take down America.
That's always been an argument against the fluoride in the water.
I mean, but we had this discussion.
It's a communist plot.
We had these votes, and now we have people, ignorant people, who are raising these things again.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
There's something else going on in Sandy with the mayor and you guys got some problems over there.
The
okay?
mayor is an incompetent.
You guys got some problems going on.
The mayor is an incompetent of such a level. It's simply ridiculous. I really think one of our friends, Robinson, is on the city council, and I'd like to see him run for mayor. He's a fireman. He's really a good guy. The mayor is an absolute abysmal failure, and it just goes on.
Anyway, I just thought I'd throw that in there at the end there. Okay, so we're going to move from Arizona and Texas.
Let's go to West Virginia.
To West Virginia.
The great state of leaning sideways because of the hills and
well,
there's no flat spot right there. Well,
no, I don't think there's a good,
except where they have dug out all the coal.
Right. Well, yes.
There used to be a mountain there. Now it's a flat spot.
So I visited West Virginia.
Yes, me
actually,
too. Lots of times.
Last week.
You did?
Well, I was in D.C. It's a whole different topic. We won't talk about it now, but I was there. Anyway, so West Virginia, their state house Republicans.
Yes. Well, the Republican Party took over the state house.
Right. So at the state house, the Republicans pulled a stunt. You want to talk about tone deaf? You want to talk about...
Well, it's offensive. It's ridiculous. On so many levels.
I said tone deaf because that's like the nicest, giving them the benefit of the doubt, which I probably shouldn't do. So they put up this poster of 9/11,
right? It was an anti-Muslim presentation.
Right.
An anti-Muslim presentation in which they had the 9/11 people and the towers going down, pictures of that, and pictures of the Islamic representative from Minnesota and currently in the Congress, the young woman who recently got elected. And so they actually put both side by side.
Yeah, they put them next to each other, equating one with the other.
Exactly. Equating the congresswoman from Minnesota.
People in West Virginia want to know why they're the butt of the joke. I mean, why everyone calls them racists and backwards. And so they put the pictures side by side, equating the evil Muslims with the new freshman
congresswoman from Minnesota.
Just a classless move. I mean, totally classless. I mean, again, it's the fear mongering. It's the stirring up of the anger. I don't know what they're angry about, but it's
what they're angry about.
Well, they're
angry about their world is changing. They're angry about they're not going to win. They're angry about they're losing control. Look, this is
the world changes. Okay, we went from riding horses to then we had buggies, and then we had cars, and we had better
Where's my
cars.
flying car? That's what I want to know.
That's a government conspiracy to keep the oil people in control. No, you can't have infrastructure spending bills if you don't need the infrastructure, right? You don't need to build bridges when you have flying cars.
Well, that's very true.
And it's all a government conspiracy to keep the budget high on that. But it's not really going to bridges because we see the bridges crumbling. It's going to other things.
Yeah,
I kid. But
So
the world changes, and you have to change with it.
And the GOP, the GOP at this point is become a gangster organization. It's become you look at the anti-vaxxers. You look at the let's just separate kids from their families. You look at every policy. You look at state level GOP policies like West Virginia, like was it South Carolina, where the GOP guy got caught cheating during the election. Now there's going to be another election.
Was it North Carolina?
In North Carolina.
As John Oliver said, of the two Carolinas, it's definitely one of them.
It's definitely one of them. So North Carolina. And by the way, the guy who cheated and got caught has now decided not to run again.
He got ratted out by his son.
I mean, let's face it.
When your own son's having to testify against you because you broke every rule and he warned you.
This is
it's bad.
Look, there's a federal law against illegal activity across state line. Okay, it's called RICO, the racketeering, the Anti-Racketeering Act. And I swear, the Republican Party has become a racketeering organization.
Yeah.
At this point, that's all they are.
Yeah. And so that can lead us to the next topic, which is, again, we're going to broaden our discussion topic.
All right.
CPAC 2019.
Talk about. I don't even remember what I was going to talk about.
You know, it's their annual conference.
Yes. The right wing.
The right wing.
The Tea Party.
The conservative.
But it's not even the mainstream conservatives anymore.
No. The one guy who said from the podium in his speech, the Electoral College is a good thing because it helps preserve the white power.
Race. Yeah, well, that was LePage. That was the guy who had been governor of Maine.
Governor of Maine, yeah.
Right, and it complete wacko.
Because if we let each vote just be a vote and it's a popular vote, then California and New York and Florida are going to overrun everybody else's vote, and you're going to have a lot of Latinos and people of color in power.
Oh my gosh.
That's what he said. And, you know, somewhere in the room, people were clutching their pearls and, you know, gasping.
So what I wanted to mention about that is the fellow who has warned the CPACers that if you elect Democrats, they will take away your hamburgers.
Okay.
Because, you know how he gets there.
Wait,
he gets there
from... could run on the Democratic as a Democrat in a race somewhere and just promise I'm not going to take anyone's hamburgers away?
Yes.
You're a
carnivore.
2020, I'm pro-hamburger.
Pro-hamburger.
That's it. That's my slogan. I will not take your hamburgers.
I like that. I really like that.
I'll even let you put cheese on it.
Yeah. Whoa.
And bacon.
Whoa, there you go. Now you're talking. So here's the thing. So here, you know how they get there. The Great New Deal, which talks about reducing cattle, the number of cattles. And so we get from there to, look, we know that eating too much meat is unhealthy for you. And, you know, if you remember, Mrs. Obama had kind of been working.
She had a vegetable garden.
She had the vegetable garden.
She wasn't raising cows back in the back of the White House. She was raising vegetables.
Vegetables. And she had this thing about the balanced food diet, the lunches for the kiddies in school, which of course has all been thrown out now with the T-Rump. T-Rump is now, and his people have now thrown out. And so now it's like, eat all the bad stuff you want. I mean, look, this all started with Reagan, who called ketchup a vegetable, but this guy's gone way beyond that. But here's the thing. I mean, basically, I think now T-Rump is allowing school cafeterias to put out salt licks and sugar cubes, and that's lunches for the kids.
Sweet.
Sweet and sour. Lunch, you know.
Sweet and salty.
Sweet and salty.
It's a good mix.
And so, but that's how he gets there, you see. His addled mind, feverish mind goes from, it's the Green New Deal, and then it's the health thing, and then all of a sudden, Democrats are going to take away your hamburgers.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's a level of discussion, public discourse, that is so asinine, so insane, that I'm ready to call the United States of America a third world country.
Well, I mean, it's counterproductive. It doesn't advance the level of discussion. It doesn't advance the discussion at all. It doesn't elevate the level, and it doesn't advance the discussion.
That's exactly right.
It's counterproductive. So the whole conference is counterproductive.
Has been for some time.
You know, but whatever. Okay. 2 more things, maybe 1 more depending on you. Do we want to talk about Cohen and the testimony?
Well, I think
we're getting now bigger issues. More.
But you know, the interesting thing is that the Republicans were in a no-win situation.
Right.
Cohen pled guilty to lying for the president, to breaking the law for the president. Okay?
Right.
If they call him a liar, his response is, yes, I was a liar. I lied for the president. And then they can't accept what he's saying because it besmirches the president.
He's saying that the president told him to lie.
So,
I like that he came with paperwork.
Yes.
He came with receipts and documents.
You know, here's a check.
It's not just my word for it. Here's the canceled check.
Here's his check. That's kind of his signature there, you see. $35,000.
that's crazy.
It is, ludicrous. So yeah, the Republicans were in a no-win situation. But back in the day, this is pre-you now, this is Richard Nixon. Back in the day, the Republicans that had been supporting Nixon, once the House of Cards started tumbling down.
No, they canceled that show.
Yeah, I know. Once the Nixonian House of Cards started falling down, the Republicans said, yeah, this guy's done. We got to move on. These people today
they're doubling down.
are doubling down. They're not willing to accept the fact that he's a crook, that he's a liar. And even, part of them are like, even if he is, it's okay because God chose him.
That's the other thing.
I am going to have
That's the other thing they're saying is...
if God did choose him, I'm going to have a conversations with him. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Trump is the chosen one. God put him there. Well, what about the previous president? No, that was the evil.
That was the Antichrist.
Yeah.
I mean, it is such lunacy. But then beyond that, even those who say, yes, he's lying. Yes, he's doing these things, but we don't care. He's the carrier of our brand. This is like saying, I want my flag to be the syphilis germ or the syphilis virus. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Anyway, the Cohen testimony, it's like
this shows how bad the Republican Congress was for the last 2 years because they sat on these things. They didn't want these things to come out.
Of course they sat on them,
and now they're coming out, but see, they're stuck because, you can't.
What did they think was going to happen eventually? I mean,
it
was just going to go away?
They did not see the Democrats taking over the House.
Ever?
No.
I mean,
ever? They didn't.
For the rest of history?
They are convinced that they are the chosen people.
Well,
and that they will.
Yeah, that's been the slogan of the KKK since its founding.
True?
Sorry. Wait,
no, it's very true. That is very true. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I joke, but I don't.
You don't joke because it's true.
That's their thing. Okay, we're gonna end this with a story that you hadn't heard about, and it's kind of old. And I wanted to bring it up, and we didn't record.
Okay. Well, wait a minute. Before you do that,
okay,
I want to simply mention Brexit. People know that I'm following Brexit. It's a 30-second thing. Brexit meets MAGA. Seriously, they met, they negotiated, and it turns out that rather than the United States opening up a huge business deal, an opportunity with the United Kingdom, with Great Britain, what they did is say, hey, we're putting America first now. So if you're going to not be in the EU, then the deal you're going to have with us is you got to buy from us. We're not buying from you. You got to buy our GMOs, which of course are, in Europe, nobody likes the GMOs, the foods that have been modified, the genetically modified foods. Those things are an anathema in Europe. And so what we've done is we've put together a 15-page document which tells Great Britain, you're going to do everything our way. You're going to do it the way we want. You're not going to do a single thing that's good for you. And by the way, don't you dare make a deal with China. So this is the Brexit thing. Now, of course, Mrs. May has agreed to maybe postpone the end of March, drop that deal. We'll see if the Europeans are willing to go with that.
Europeans have to go along with it. Yeah.
But she's at least said that she's now willing to entertain that. So there's still more to come on that. So and that's all. I just wanted to, Brexit meet MAGA.
Yeah. Okay. I was just handed this by the producer. We skipped a part when we started.
We did?
Yeah. The listener email portion.
Oh.
We have a listener email.
Oh, excellent.
So I apologize. We usually do this at the beginning.
Yeah.
So we'll do it here.
But now we'll do it near the end.
It's from our friend Andrew. Andrew emails us
regularly.
Hi,
Andrew.
Regularly. And he says, "Dear friends, this is Andrew again. At the risk of beating a dead horse, I'm going to propose a discussion you've had before. However, I'm coming at it from a different angle." Okay, I like that.
Fair enough.
The topic is gun control. I am a school teacher. In the past decade, I've seen our active shooter drills become more sophisticated and prominent. In a moment of frustration, I posted the following on my Facebook page. During the Cold War, children practiced hiding under desks because the world had a nuclear weapon problem. In the 2010s, I'm locking classroom doors and hiding in corners with my students because America has a gun problem. I've now practiced hiding in dark classrooms with children too many times for anyone to convince me that military-grade weapons should be in the hands of civilians. He put that on his Facebook page.
Good for him.
That's a bold stand.
That's right.
The comments I received in opposition to this statement were all from fellow church members and we're focused on one aspect of gun ownership. They believed we need access to military rifles in case the government turns against us, and we need to protect ourselves. Because the AR-15 you get from Shields or Walmart is going to stop.
This is not. Look, this
the
is
82nd Airborne.
The 82nd Airborne, the 101st.
That got me thinking about what a non-member friend of mine from out of state once stated to me. He observed that we as church members vehemently defend gun rights because of our history of conflict with the United States government during the early years of the Restoration. I've given that statement a lot of thought, and I'm inclined to think there's something to it. Are you interested in weighing in on this one?
Yeah, that's a great...
So you can weigh in on anything that I just talked about or read.
So he's absolutely right that there is this underlying sort of suspicion on the part of, I will say, rural church members.
But they're patriots.
Yes.
There's no one more patriotic than they are.
No,
but if the government comes, we got to be ready to shoot them.
Yes.
We have had that discussion before.
This isn't the 1700s, dudes. I mean, seriously, this is...
Yeah, my musket isn't going to equal his musket because that's all there are muskets. My AR-15 is not going to equal what they come at me with.
It's an M1 tank. If I'm coming for you, I'm coming with the first, with the big red one.
They're not coming with the big red one. It's going to be a drone strike from 30,000 feet. You're never going to see it coming.
Exactly.
You're just going to be dead all of a sudden.
Exactly.
If they're coming,
and
they're
by
coming
the way,
with drones.
Nobody's coming for you, okay? This is a paranoid. This is a paranoid society. They're not coming for you.
Well, it's the same people that think that the fluoride is the government, is the communist conspiracy.
It's the communist conspiracy.
It's the same people.
It's the same people. Exactly. Now, I agree with Andrew. We've been doing this for far too long. You want a public emergency in America? Guns is the number one public emergency in America today. And what a bunch of nonsense. You have to think that the United States is somehow going to fight its own people. We are the United States of America. You know, it was funny. Now I'm going to go back down memory lane again. Just a couple years ago.
See, Andrew, see what you do? No, okay.
So a couple of years ago, we went to the graduation of one of our granddaughters' high school graduation. And it was during the election. And your brother and I were talking about politics before everything started. And we were kind of pro-Hillary people, you know. And we didn't realize people around us were listening to our conversation. And then the thing started, and they brought in like 50 American flags, everybody on the dancing team for the high school, and everybody who's ever, you know, put on a pom-pom dress or something. They all walked in with an American flag. Everybody stood up, and a bunch of people were saluting. And your brother says, why are they saluting? We stand for the flag. We don't salute. And the person in front of us, who had obviously been stewing because we had been talking good about Hillary, turned around and said, because we're not bleeping communist. The F word was the bleeped out part. And he was angry and red-faced and everything else. And then somebody else came over and said, hey, it's the American flag. You're supposed to be quiet and worship quiet. I mean, it was really this kind of worshipful, oh my gosh, this is the American flag. And then, you know, we just kind of went on. Then Sam and I saluted because of the Star Spangled Banner. We gave the military salute. Nobody else did around us. And then later in the program, they announced that one of the boys was going to West Point, and would all the veterans please stand up? And of course, Mr. Patriot, who's not a communist, did not stand up. Well, your brother and I, you know, did, of course, you know, and your mom. I mean, it's fascinating that the patriots are not the ones who serve the country. The patriots are the ones who think the country is after them. It's ludicrous.
The idea, and we've talked about it before, and we've kind of gotten a little off topic, but
No.
The idea of
I think that goes to
reverence of the reverence of the flag. You know, you have to be quiet because the flag.
It's an empty gesture.
And we've talked about that before.
You know, but that goes to his
idea,
comment. His comment that, look, I'm tired of locking the door and turning out the light and doing a shooter drill because people think that the government's coming to get you.
Well, and we're taking time to do shooter drills instead of teaching the math or science that, you know, our country is falling behind in. Andrew's the name.
Andrew, I got to say something to you. If you're listening, we're going back to nuclear drills very soon. The president has taken us out of the nuclear control treaty, and the Soviet Union, but it's really the Russians are going to develop these new nuclear missiles. they're going to put nuclear missiles in our hemisphere for the first time since the Cuban Missile Crisis. You're going to be practicing nuclear drills again before you retire.
Duck and cover is not going to help.
It's not going to help.
By the way, the wooden desks aren't going to help duck and cover.
It's not going to help. Neither does hiding in a darkened classroom if the guy starts shooting into it.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. So this story that we're going to end with, it's a little older. It's a few weeks old. I wanted to bring it up, and we never had time, and then I was gone and stuff. But it also brings us back around to the anti-vaxxers. So a few weeks ago, I applauded the drug cartels in Colombia, Venezuela,
Colombia.
One of those. I applauded the drug cartel, the leader of the local gang. They went into town and they kidnapped at gunpoint all the nurses and doctors, took them back to the village, and at gunpoint said, "You will inoculate our people and give them vaccines." And then they let them go and took them home.
This is a feel-good story of sorts, right?
Look, these people got kidnapped at gunpoint to inoculate and vaccinate the villages that were outside the city and people who didn't have access to the medical care.
Sure.
At gunpoint, you will give the shots and the immunizations, and then we'll take you home and you'll be fine.
So this is
the drug cartel leaders are taking care of their people better than the people are elected leaders here in the United States. So I thought I'd bring that up.
This is an interesting comment because look, whatever you can think about the drug cartels and of course they're violent and of course they sell things that are bad for people. But now
so do American pharmaceutical companies.
Well, to some degree, yes.
Yeah, okay, sorry.
But they have the protection of the law. And yet
funny how that works, isn't it?
And yet we've seen this before. So in Tammany Hall, the Democratic Party,
the machine
from New York, which cheated and stole and lied and everything else, but boy, if you lived in their ward, that is to say, in their district, legislative district, the widow had a chicken in a pot every Sunday.
Yeah,
and Huey Long, one of the biggest crooks in American local politics. Huey Long, governor of Louisiana, but he built schools and hospitals all across Louisiana where the poor people were. Now, did he get rich off of the building of those buildings? Yes, because it was his brother-in-law that was selling the bricks and the mortar. But he did that. And so it's interesting that, people are such interesting creatures. And we hold in our minds, we hold in our souls, really, it goes back to the story of Adam and Eve. It goes back for the Christian tradition, it goes back to the Garden of Eden. There were two trees in the garden, the tree of knowledge of good and evil and a tree of life. And in every one of us, there's good and bad. And, we can say what we want about how bad the cartels are, and yet they know how to take care of their people.
They're taking care of their people.
We talk about the mafia in New York, terrible people, and yet they took care of their moms. And, and they sent their daughters to school. And I mean, it's funny how we as human beings have that capacity for good and evil, all of us. And I hope we choose good more often than evil. And I hope that I choose good more than I do the other side. But we all have that capacity. And so for you to come up with a story, I think it's a feel-good story.
That's why I saved it for the end. It's humorous. It's a feel-good story. I mean, it's about people you normally wouldn't associate with a feel-good.
Right, you don't want to associate with them. Look at they know what they're.
They probably could have just asked the doctors, "Hey, come over here."
No, they couldn't because the government doesn't care about the poor people. The government in that country doesn't care. We don't care about vaccinating the poor people.
We don't care about the poor people here.
We don't either. That's right.
We don't care about the poor people in this country. We really don't have a whole lot of room to stand on.
Well, certainly here in Utah. Certainly here in Utah, where we're going to spend more money to ensure less people under the Medicaid.
That's the other thing that we made national news for. We've made national news like the last month. And I hate it when Utah makes the national news because it's the embarrassing stuff.
Okay, here's another one.
It's never for the good stuff.
Here's another one.
Well, because there's
the people here in Utah that love the Constitution so much that they've just voted to approve a constitutional convention, which it's just passed the legislature. The governor's going to sign it. We're now, I think the Constitution says you have to have 35 states or something like that. We're now at 29 or 30. or
Yeah,
more.
we've talked about this, the danger of it.
We've talked about it. We've talked about the danger of it.
Because unless the state legislature repeals their call, it stands forever.
Yes.
You know, so
Yes.
a state could have, called for a constitutional convention 30 years ago, and it's still on the books.
Unless they take it off.
Yeah, unless they repeal it.
And so, here's the thing. A constitutional convention will destroy America. It'll destroy the United States.
Yeah.
Because there will be no one with the intellect of James Madison.
Well,
there will be no one with the gravitas of George Washington. There will be no one with the wisdom of Ben Franklin.
Well, gravitas, wisdom, you won't even get the appetite or desire for negotiation and compromise, which is what it would take. You're going to have a hard standoff on everything.
Yeah,
and it's going to be a stalemate on everything because there's not the willingness for discussion anymore.
Exactly.
So, all right. With that, don't be a cartel member and go kidnap doctors. Do go vaccinate.
Vaccinate your children.
All right. Thanks for listening. If you want to be like Andrew and send us an email, we'll read it on the podcast and we'll talk about it. You can send us emails at latterdayleft@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook. Just look for Latter Day Left. You can send us messages through Facebook. You can tweet at us and follow us on Twitter at Latter Day Left.
Have a good week.
Thanks. Bye.
As always, if you enjoy our show, leave a review on Apple Podcasts. Our theme music is a selection from Tate Peterson's Midday Blues. You can find his music at freemusicarchive.com.
And yet again, pause. Okay, we're back in 3, 2, 1. Oh my goodness.
I'm with you.
Stop.